welcome to the Travel Industry Management Integrated Lab. My name is Anugrah Agung Putranto. I am the assistant lecturer at the School of Hospitality and Tourism in Universitas Pelita Harapan. Today, I'll be showcasing you the activities that you can expect to do at Travel Industry Management while following the hygiene, health, safety, and environmental protocols. Enjoy the video.
Face mask and physical distancing are mandatory during all activities in theory class. Participants of the bus guiding simulation are seated apart to support physical distancing inside the bus. In addition, the tour guide must wear a face shield and disposable gloves. Similarly, during walking tours, every participant must stand apart from each other to maintain physical distancing at all times. Students are required to wear disposable hand gloves and stand behind acrylic separators during check-in simulations. Face shields, gloves, and face masks are to be used during travel simulations. Travel simulations are set up for a maximum of 2 people per desk. Field study participants must use the hand sanitizer before boarding the bus. Participants are seated apart to support physical distancing inside the bus. In addition, the tour guide must wear a face shield and disposable gloves.
So, those were the activities that you can expect to do at Travel Industry Management. Please remember to stay safe, stay healthy, and thank you for watching the video.
I would come back home. I know you hate to be alone. Instead of kissing you goodnight, I'm kissing strangers. Always listen, but I never learned. Should've been hanging on your every word. I was taking you for granted, never realized the danger. always meant to hold you closer, but I don't always do what I'm supposed to. Now you're slipping through my fingers and I don't know what to do. And I keep hoping you call back. Can we forget about the past? 'Cause baby, all I really want is you. And I took too long, and now she's gone. If I only knew right from wrong, she'd be right back in my arms.
I've been painting every fence I know. Every color bleeds into the same. 'Cause before you go and walk away, yeah, you better know where you're going. Hey, yeah, yeah. You're a wanderer just like me. Hey, yeah, yeah. Yeah, you better know where you're going.
semuanya, sambil kita nunggu peserta yang belum bergabung, kita mau nyapa dulu nih peserta yang udah hadir hari ini.
Iya bener Em, bagaimana nih kabar Bapak, Ibu, dan juga teman-teman partisipan? Kami harap semuanya sehat-sehat ya. Nah Em, aku lihat-lihat ini banyak tamu undangan kita yang nggak cuma dari Jakarta loh.
Benar banget, Fab. Kami mengucapkan selamat datang kepada Bapak atau Ibu peserta dari Kementerian Pariwisata. Selamat pagi Bapak Ibu semuanya. We would also like to welcome all participants from Australia, Singapore, and Malaysia. Good morning everyone. Kami juga ingin menyapa Bapak Ibu yang berasal dari Bandung, ada juga yang dari Surabaya dan Palembang. Apa kabar Bapak Ibu semuanya? Kami harap semuanya sehat-sehat ya.
Ada juga yang dari Padang, Bali, Makassar, dan masih banyak lagi peserta dari seluruh penjuru Nusantara. Selamat pagi Bapak, Ibu, dan teman-teman semuanya. Wah, excited banget nggak sih, Em?
Iya nih, Fab. Udah gak sabar banget ya kita untuk mulai webinar kita hari ini. Karena pesertanya tuh beragam banget dan dari berbagai daerah di Indonesia. Ada juga teman-teman dari universitas-universitas di Indonesia loh.
Dan pastinya kita juga harus tetap semangat mengikuti webinar pada hari ini. Nah, aku lihat-lihat pesertanya sudah mulai banyak nih yang bergabung. Jadi tanpa berlama-lama lagi, yuk kita mulai webinar hari ini.
Good morning everyone. Welcome to the fourth webinar series of Pelita Harapan, Faculty of Tourism.
Selamat pagi semuanya, selamat datang di webinar series keempat dari Fakultas Pariwisata Universitas Pelita Harapan. Perkenalkan, nama saya Fabiola.
And my name is Emily. Today, we're going to start our fourth webinar series with the title of Digital Culture and E-Tourism, Attractive and Engaging Virtual Tour.
Hari ini kita akan memulai rangkaian webinar keempat kita yang berjudul Digital Culture and E-Tourism, Attractive and Engaging Virtual Tour.
This webinar will provide an insight into nowadays digital culture and the making of an attractive and engaging virtual tour for the hospitality and tourism industry as we enter the digital era. The key theme of today's webinar offers an insight into the roles of technology on the co-creation of tourist experiences and travel cycle based on personal traveling experiences supplemented with the ethnography approach.
Webinar kali ini akan memberikan wawasan tentang budaya digital saat ini dan pembuatan virtual tour yang menarik untuk industri perhotelan dan pariwisata saat kita memasuki era digital. Tema utama webinar ini menawarkan wawasan tentang peran teknologi pada penciptaan bersama, pengalaman wisatawan, dan siklus perjalanan berdasarkan pengalaman perjalanan pribadi, dilengkapi dengan pendekatan etnografi.
Before we start, let us remind everyone about the rules and regulations for today's webinar.
Sebelum kita memulai, kami akan membacakan tata tertib webinar pada hari ini.
Please write your full name according to the registration on your Zoom ID.
Mohon menuliskan nama lengkap sesuai pendaftaran pada ID Zoom masing-masing.
Participants will get the e-certificate when attending this webinar session from the beginning until the end, from 8:25 until 11:30.
Peserta akan mendapatkan e-sertifikat apabila mengikuti sesi webinar ini dari awal acara hingga akhir acara, pukul 8.25 sampai 11.30.
Please deactivate or turn off your microphone during the seminar so as not to disturb others.
Dimohon untuk menonaktifkan mikrofon selama acara berlangsung agar tidak mengganggu pembicara dan peserta lainnya.
Use Google Forms when you have questions for the Q&A discussion session by filling out the Google Forms link that has been informed on the Zoom chat. Maximum 2 questions per person.
Gunakan Google Forms ketika Anda memiliki pertanyaan untuk sesi diskusi tanya-jawab dengan mengisi link Google Forms yang telah diinformasikan di Zoom chat. Maksimal 2 pertanyaan per penanya.
Please turn on all your cameras at the end of the webinar series 4 session for a group photo session. Use the proper and polite clothing when turn on your camera.
Dimohon untuk menyalakan semua kamera Anda pada sesi webinar keempat Untuk sesi foto bersama, berpakaianlah dengan sopan dan rapi saat Anda menghidupkan kamera Anda.
Now, let us gather in the prayer. I will lead the prayer in Christian, the rest may follow.
Sekarang mari kita bersatu di dalam doa. Doa akan dipimpin secara Kristiani, yang lain harap menyesuaikan.
Let us pray. Heavenly Father, we thank you, Lord, for gathering us here, for giving us the opportunity to start our fourth webinar series for today. Lord, we are going to start our webinar series. Please bless everything so everything can run smoothly. Thank you, Lord. In the name of Jesus Christ, we have already prayed. Amen. We would like to invite all the guests to sing our national anthem, Indonesia Raya.
Kami mengundang seluruh tamu undangan menyanyikan lagu kebangsaan Indonesia Raya.
Now, we would like to invite Bapak Curtis J. Taylor, PhD, as the Vice Presidentry of Chief Student Development Officer to give an opening speech.
Kami mengundang Bapak Curtis J. Taylor, PhD, selaku Vice Presidentry of Chief Student Development Officer untuk memberikan kata sambutan.
Thank you. I am honored to be able to bring you greetings again this morning on behalf of UPH. As Jonathan Parapak and Ibu Christy Summers and I have all mentioned to you at earlier webinars, we're so grateful for your involvement in this series. The attendance is outstanding, and I'm sure that all of you have been challenged and motivated in your specific callings in the hospitality and tourism industries. Today, we're very grateful, especially grateful for the participation of our guest speaker, Dr. Hera Oktiana, Senior Lecturer in Tourism and Researcher for James Cook University, Australia. Dr. Hera, I want to personally thank you for lending your time, your expertise, and your credibility to this event. As I mentioned to you on Monday, this is a difficult and interesting time, especially for your industry. We've all seen and experienced the guidelines that now stipulate our policies and procedures regarding the hospitality, tourism, and restaurant industries. And we've all lamented the statistics that show how this pandemic has impacted your industry. We long for a return to the way that things were before. Governments around the world have touted their plans for reopening offices, schools, factories, restaurants, and attractions under the protocols of new normal. To be honest, in a selfish, personal way, I have not minded the new normal. In fact, I've learned how to use Grab to order food from restaurants that I would never have visited in the past. I've ridden many more kilometers on my bicycle on roads that are car-free than I have ever experienced in Indonesia, and thousands of other Indonesians have experienced the health benefits of walking and cycling. The toll roads are empty, and I can visit my son and daughter-in-law in Kamang after only a 30-minute drive, even faster than my old Kijang Innova can go. My favorite restaurants have a table, and in some ways, as a consumer under the new normal, it's okay. But this morning, I want to remind us of two things. First, this is not the way things are supposed to be. And second, if you are doing things correctly, the new normal is still the old normal in very many ways. So first, this is not the way things are supposed to be. I know that may sound a little bit like fantasy, or if not fantasy, at least it sounds like someone who's not acknowledging the reality of our current situation. But as a Christian, I honestly mean it when I say this is not the way things were supposed to be. God's design for the world and for humanity didn't include COVID-19. But because we are a sinful people and our original parents, Adam and Eve, led our world into sin, we messed up God's original design for a world that did not include sin. And the entire cosmos fell into disarray and confusion as a result of our defiance of God's plan. But as with COVID-19, our God was not taken by surprise. This didn't surprise him. And even though this is not the way things were intended to be, God has a plan for restoring all things to the way they were supposed to be. As a Christian, I believe that the restoration comes through the life, death, and resurrection of Jesus Christ. And we may not always see that plan clearly, but we believe that God's plan is certain, and we are part of that plan to make all things new. But as for now, we are living with COVID-19, and we need to acknowledge the procedures, protocols, and guidelines to make our lives safe in the new normal. I just want to briefly remind you, though, of three things from the old normal that still apply in the new normal. First, customer service is important whether you are online or in person. You sell your product and promote your brand by your professionalism, your enthusiasm, your integrity, and your value, whether that's delivered in person or online. These past few months and the months to come are actually a laboratory for you to learn how to do this better than anyone else. Don't run away from it. Embrace it and show that you can thrive in this environment. Second, people still want to feel that you listen to them, that you understand their needs and their desires. This too is independent of whether the experience is online or in person. For example, I am just as happy when a Grab driver makes sure that my order is correct, especially regarding the spiciness of my gado-gado, as I am about the waiter remembering not to put beef in my wife's bibimbap at our favorite Korean restaurant because she's a vegetarian. Your attitude in meeting and then exceeding the customer's expectations is important, whether you are online or whether it's in person. And third, the more that we can include the social elements of the old normal in our adaptation to the new normal, the more comfortable will be the transition. Today, you're going to be talking about ways to do that digitally with regard to marketing and virtual tours. But I want to remind you that you need to constantly be trying to think about the digital equivalents of the behaviors and cues that contribute to our humanness. The handshake, the smile, the pat on the back, or even sometimes a hug. These are all God-given elements of our social existence. And the people with whom you interact are longing for these human elements to be retained even in the new normal. I am so proud of the interesting and important sessions that the UPH School of Hospitality and Tourism are holding this week. You have already made a plan for what to do, and now you're implementing it as a true industry leader. I'm proud that you're exploring so many new ways to be able to rethink, replan, refocus, and repurpose technology and creativity to do your work. May God continue to bless your efforts for your industry, for Indonesia, and for His glory. Have a good webinar.
Thank you, Bapak Curtis, for the exciting and motivating opening speech. Now, let us give a round of applause.
Terima kasih Bapak Curtis untuk kata sambutan yang sangat inspiratif. Mari kita beri tepuk tangan yang meriah.
Now, let us remind everyone about the rules and regulations for today's webinar.
Sekarang kami akan menghimbau kembali mengenai tata tertib untuk webinar pada hari ini.
Pertama, mohon menuliskan nama lengkap sesuai pendaftaran pada ID Zoom masing-masing.
Peserta akan mendapatkan e-sertifikat apabila mengikuti sesi webinar ini dari awal acara hingga akhir acara, pukul 8.30 sampai 11.30.
Dimohon untuk menonaktifkan mikrofon selama acara berlangsung agar tidak mengganggu pembicara dan peserta lainnya.
Gunakan Google Forms ketika Anda memiliki pertanyaan untuk sesi diskusi tanya-jawab dengan mengisi link Google Forms yang telah diinformasikan di WhatsApp Group dan Zoom Chat. Maksimal 2 pertanyaan per penanya.
Dimohon untuk menyalakan semua kamera Anda pada akhir sesi webinar seri 4 untuk sesi foto bersama. Berpakaianlah dengan sopan dan rapi saat Anda menghidupkan kamera Anda. Now, without further ado, let us start our webinar series for today. We would like to invite our moderator, Mr. Jimmy Muller Hasolwang Situmorang, BSc MBA.
Tanpa berlama-lama lagi, mari kita mulai webinar series kita pada hari ini kepada Bapak Jimmy Muller Hasolang Situmorang, BSc MBA, selaku moderator, kami persilahkan.
Thank you very much, our wonderful Master of Ceremonies, Emily and Fabiola. Good morning, Mr. Curtis J. Taylor, Pelita Harapan University Vice President, Chief of Students of Development Center. Thank you very much for your amazing and inspirational opening speech. I would also like to welcome Professor Philip Pierce, PhD, Foundation Professor of Tourism from James Cook University, Australia, to today's webinar. Good morning, Professor Pierce. Good morning, fellow educators, trainers, and practitioners. Good morning, students. Good morning, all audiences that are in our YouTube channel. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Jimmy Situmorang. Welcome to Pelita Harapan School of Hospitality and Tourism 4th webinar series, Digital Culture and E-Tourism, Making an Attractive and Engaging Virtual Tour. It is an honor for me to be here among some of the most important people in the tourism industry. As we all know, not so long ago, our culture that includes way of thinking, actions, as well as communication with others in our society have been changed since the introduction of advanced technology innovation and global system of interconnected computer network, or as we simply put, the internet. Right now, in the digital culture era, people, when interacting with technology and internet, are gaining some advantages. To name the few, it will get your work faster, increase more innovation using new technology or complex algorithms. It will shorten tourist buying or selling process when using the technology or the internet, and it will create a new line of work, mostly work that matches with the millennials and Generation Zs. One example of the innovations that we are all familiar with is e-tourism. It is fundamentally a digitalization of the tourism industry and all things needed to support the tourism itself. It is beneficial to the tourists because it is easier for them to choose the destination. People would have many options to choose from because they would get easily price comparison effortlessly. As for the tourist provider, their e-tourism platform will make their job easier. They will get in no time their target potential market. They will collect a big data to arrange the tour for themselves. In today's webinar, we are going to learn a lot from our presenter about digital culture and e-tourism. As we know, before we start, all questions directed to all the presenters must go through our webinar question form, which the audience can find the link in our webinar's chat window. Now I'm going to introduce our keynote speaker of today's webinar, Hera Octadiana, PhD, CHE. She is currently the adjunct senior lecturer for College of Business, Law and Governance, James Cook University. She is a senior lecturer at Trisakti School of Tourism, Indonesia, and James Cook University, Australia. She earned her PhD from the School of Hotel and Tourism Management, the Hong Kong Polytechnic University, Hong Kong. She received her certified hospitality educator from the American Hotel and Lodging Educational Institute. She has been the head of hotel and tourism departments at some tourism institutions in Indonesia. She is presently the regional vice president of Southeast Asia of the International Tourism Studies Association, or ITSA. Her research interests are in the area of tourism and hospitality education and tourist behavior, particularly in the Muslim tourists and the emerging markets. She has published many journal articles in various hospitality and tourism journals. If I'm not mistaken, she has already published 17 journal articles and one book, together with Professor Pierce. So, without further ado, thank you very much, Dr. Hera, for being here at our webinar series. Dr. Hera, the stage is yours. Please give her a big round of virtual applause.
Thank you, Pak Jimmy. Good morning, everybody. Thank you very much for attending this webinar. So I'd like to share with you about actually the experiences that I have with the technology. And also, actually, this is the real experience of in the point of view of the tourist, what technology can do to add the co-creation of the tourist experiences. Okay, so I would like to share the screen. All right, so this is my topic is about tourism technology and tourist experiences. So when we talk about technology in tourism, of course, people always know that technology is very good, right? It's very, very great, very helpful to add on the experience of the tourist. Technology can actually produce positive outcomes in terms of the efficiency, the cost saving, but and also the better service experiences. And this is an example of the technology that I use when I had to order sushi in Hong Kong. So everything used the mobile order in the photo here. So it was very convenient for probably for some of the customers, but maybe not all the customers, because I think the young generation probably is very convenient and they are very useful. They are very used to the technology. It can be very useful for them, but maybe this kind of technology can also have some obstacle for some people. And of course, technology in tourism can add the co-creation of the tourist experiences. So for example, in here, this is my experience when I use the VR to explore the 3 kangaroos in a tourist information center in Queensland, Australia. So of course, it's very hard to see the real kangaroo in the jungle, right, in the forest. So, but I could really see the 3 kangaroo just like in front of me using the VR, and it was a very great experiences, right, for me. And then I felt like, oh, I could touch the kangaroo, the 3 kangaroo, but of course I couldn't, right, because it's all the VR. But it was a very interesting and very great experience for me to really actually see the 3 kangaroo very close. And I was actually not in the forest or in the jungle. I was in the information center. And then another thing, the technology supporting experiences. So in here, we can see some of the examples. This is my daughter. This is the visit that we had at the time to Marina Barras Sustainable Singapore Gallery in Singapore. It was very great experiences. The place actually in the garden at the bay. And my daughter really enjoyed the interaction with the technology. And it's very educative because we learn about the climate change, the impact of climate change using the technology in here. And can be operated with all the people from all ages. And then again in here, you can see you can create the sustainable building. So you can select what kind of light, and then what kind of the sunlight, and what kind of material, and then everything to create the sustainable environment using the technology in here. Another example is the Mark Hall. See, this is when we went to Rotterdam in the Netherlands. We went to Mark Hall, and then we used this kiosk to look what's on, and then to find out the information about the Mark Hall. So it was really cool. Actually, we didn't have to ask people, but we can actually find the information using this technology. This is another one from Tirol in Innsbruck. So it was very cool when I went to the to Tirol, right? Like a museum, and then there was like a digital, like a virtual arrow that shows the place that called the Clemens van Raklovik. So we just follow this arrow, the virtual arrow, to see into the room and then see the what happened in that room. So I thought at the time, wow, it's really cool, right? So using the arrow and then following the arrow using the virtual technology. So this is some of the example that technology actually can add on to the tourist experiences and the benefit of technology to tourism. And of course, in terms of the VR, it's not only what happened at the present. Like in here, I will show you, maybe you've heard about this. This is about virtual reality using the past view. So virtual reality actually can, can actually not only looking what are in the present, but you can also look what happened in the past. So I want to show you the video. It's very cool because you can see in the present tourist destination, then you can see what actually it is like in the past. Yeah, so this is the guy in the tourist attraction.
Mrs. Sarah, could you please also share screen the main YouTube for us to also see the screen because it's still in PPT. Thank you so much.
Excuse me, Dr. Hera.
Yes.
Are you having some difficulties of bringing the video in?
Okay. Good. Did you see the video?
We haven't seen the video yet,
ma'am. Oh, not yet. Oh, okay.
Yes.
Because it's working in here.
Yes, our team will help you soon. So our team is opening the YouTube and we'll share the screen. Please wait a moment. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Okay. Also, so you cannot see the video. Oh, okay.
Yes, not yet, Dr.
Oh,
Hera.
not yet. Oh, okay.
So Kezia will help you.
Okay, okay.
Showing
Kezia,
the
maybe
video
can help.
from, yes.
Yeah, okay. That'll be great. Thank you so much.
Very welcome, Dr. Hera.
Okay, so this is the guy in the current present. Okay, thank you, Miss Kezia. So I think I'll go back to my screen. Yeah, so if you see that from the screen, right, that you can actually see how the virtual reality can actually be implemented not only in the current situation, but also bring the past to the tourists. So the tourists can go to the destination and then they watch through the VR and they know what happened in the past in that destination. Okay, so we talk about how great technology, right, in tourism, but I would like also to share with you, right, that actually, there is also some obstacles in the technology. So technology can also be a destroyer of the tourist experiences. Technology can create anxiety or maybe can create a stress or like
Dr. Hera? Dr. Hera? I think Dr. Hera is having some difficulties with the connections. We will get her back shortly. Please wait a moment. Thank you very much. We will show some videos while we are waiting for the connection from Dr. Hera. Thank you very much.
Hello everyone, welcome to the Travel Industry Management Integrated Lab. My name is Anugrah Agung Putranto. I am the assistant lecturer at the School of Hospitality and Tourism in Universitas Pelita Harapan. Today, I'll be showcasing you the activities that you can expect to do at Travel Industry Management while following the hygiene, health, safety, and environmental protocols. Enjoy the video.
Face mask and physical distancing are mandatory during all activities in theory class. Participants of the bus guiding simulation are seated apart to support physical distancing inside the bus. In addition, the tour guide must wear a face shield and disposable gloves. Similarly, during walking tours, every participant must stand apart from each other to maintain physical distancing at all times. Students are required to wear disposable hand gloves and stand behind acrylic separators during check-in simulations. Face shields, gloves, and face masks are to be used during travel simulations. Travel simulations are set up for a maximum of 2 people per desk.
okay, sorry about that one. I'm not sure what happened.
Good morning,
Okay.
Dr. Hera.
Good morning, Pak Jimmy. So
Glad
this is
to
what
have you
happened.
back.
Yes, it's what happened with technology, isn't it? Suddenly off.
Yes, you are about to talk about the downside
about
of the technology.
about the technology. That's right.
Yeah.
So this is what
the
happens.
stage is yours, Dr. Hera.
Yes. Okay. Thank you. This is what can happen, right? Technical failure can happen anytime. Okay, so I would like to continue, right? So this is when I had a chatbot at the time with the like a chatbot robot with the hotel. I was actually asking about the bed size for the family deluxe rooms. And it says, oh yeah, big bed and double beds are available on request and will be subject to room availability. Please let us know your preference in remarks when you reserve the room. It's not what I'm asking. So I said, can you tell me the size of the bed? I'm not certain on what you mean. Do you mean one of the following? And I said, yes, the bed size. And they said, I'm not certain on what you mean. Do you mean one of the following? So it's kept going on and on, right? So I thought, okay, that's it. I think the chatbot doesn't understand what I mean, right? So it's kind of like a desirable response that you don't want. So, and then also, of course, there's a connection with the problem with the connection, what happened just before, right? We are unable to connect, for example, that can actually create frustration and annoyance for the tourists or the users. So this is some of the case examples. One is the strategy, the samples from tourist technology experience. This is case number 1. So it has been published in a Journal of Hospitality and Tourism Management. It's called Losing Touch and Comfortable Encounters with Tourism Technology. So this is actually based it's based on the personal experiences at the time in the 4 cases in the 4 cities in Europe. So the first one was actually the interactive activities at the theme park in Den Haag, the Netherlands. And the second one is the getting around Innsbruck in Austria. And then the third one is staying in high-tech hotel in Vienna, Austria. And then the last one is using the public transport in Madrid, Spain. So what happened in here? Okay, so this is what I actually collected the data. So this is the paper that I wrote with Prof. Philip Pierce, who are here at the moment. So we use the reflexive autoethnography, which is based on the author's experiences, and then supported with ethnography, which is from the digital research. This is based on the online reviews from the TripAdvisor, Booking.com, and Expedia.com. So an ethnography is a kind of like a ethnography, but kind of like online. Maybe it's not really actually the same like online ethnography, but some people sometimes have kind of like make a synonym that is actually the same, but actually there are some differences. But basically in ethnography, we record the images and the text that we see online, and then what the online communities are talking about. So basically what they talk are the reflection of our own and other people's selfies. Okay, so ethnography itself is a qualitative research approach that has a basis in ethnography. And then it is about researching human experiences. So any kind of surveys or experiences shared online publicly and openly can actually be used as the data or the input for doing the ethnography study. Ethnography can be combined with another form of ethnographic research. So it can be combined with, for example, observation, or can be combined with interviews, for example. And then it has actually been applied in a number of studies, such as nursing, health, marketing, and tourism. And there are several ways to employ the ethnography approach. So you as the researchers, or maybe like a marketers in the industry, you can use the ethnography either as the non-participant observation, which is your passive, or you can actually involve in the online community and conduct the interviews with the participant online. And this is the application of ethnography in tourism research. So at the moment, ethnography in tourism research is mainly based on the Web 2, which is based on the media like TripAdvisor's comments, or like Twitters or blogs or Facebook. So Web 2 is called the web of communication. So in here, in ethnography in tourism is to explore the experience of tourists and also suppliers, such as travel agent or the business owners and the developers of the platforms. Common approach used in the tourism ethnography is a looker approach or the passive approach. So usually the researchers are not involved directly online. Probably there are several reasons in here. First, you don't need a consent, right? Because data are collected from the public sites. And also, when you are doing it as the non-active participants, you keep participants unaware of the research, the activities that you are doing as a researcher. So, and also in tourism, ethnography has been used with other methods. This is very common methods used in tourism research, interviews, and online survey. And then in the ethnography in tourism, data are generally about product reviews, including destination reviews, using the generated content. And the use of ethnography is actually increasing, but still underutilized. So there is actually opportunity for the tourism researchers or even the tourism marketers to do the ethnography. The application of ethnography in tourism research is generally within the Web2 technology. Which is what I mentioned already. And then this is the example of the tourist experience. The first one is the theme park in Den Haag, the Netherlands. So I went to the theme park with my daughter. At the time, she was six years old. And we really enjoyed our time there. She had a great time with the games and activities using the technology. It was really good, right? So you can see in here, there are a couple of people actually using the screen, right, to understand about what's happening in here. The screen actually told you the story, and you can also actually do the real activities to find out what happened if you press this button or you press the lever and so on. But behind this, the great thing about the technology, there were problems that we face. So this is based on the auto-ethnography and the online reviews. Screens were hard to see under the sunlight, and some letters in the keyboards were actually, some of them actually hard to press. And then there were some dysfunction of the several games displays and the screen. And then in the second one, the Getting Around Innsbruck in Austria, actually it was really great, right? Because we really enjoyed the interactive activities at the Alpine Zoo. And then the bus was actually really good because you can see in here, the information about the route was very clear. So even though I didn't speak German, but I could see where I go, right? And I could actually plan, okay, where I would stop. So it is very good information, a very good display. And this is the app in the bicycle. So you can rent the bicycle and using the app. So everything was actually very smooth and very good at that time. But there was another problem, another hiccup using this app. So everything, the information and all the requirement actually explained in English, but there was a problem in doing the payment because the payment and instruction were in German. So at the end, I didn't use the bicycle. At that time, I wanted to use the bicycle to go around Innsbruck, but I canceled it because the problem with the payment. And then this is the case number 4. This is the high-tech hotel in Vienna, Austria. So it was very interesting to stay in the high-tech hotel. There was no lobby, of course. There was no reception. There was no concierge. So everything just basically automatic. You go into the door using your credit card, and then you do the self-check-in here using the machine. And you can see this is kind of like a restaurant, you know, with everything is all automatic. This is all the information, and then everything is, you just put the coin or the credit card. So very easy self-check-in, right? And it was a very great hotel with a very modern, high-tech equipment inside the room. But again, there was some problems at the time that we faced, and this is based on also on the online reviews. So there was lack of information and instruction in using the equipment and the system. So there were problems in using equipment. So at that time, when I went to the room, they were like everything was automatic, right? I mean, very high tech, like there was like microwave and then a stove and everything. But the problem was everything was written in German and there was no information. So I was afraid to touch the button, right? At the time I was lucky because my brother who stayed in Berlin came over, and then because he speaks German, so he could tell me what's happening in using the button. But I had a problem when I had to do the laundry, because at that time my brother hasn't arrived yet. So I wanted to do the laundry, right? And they said there's touch this button, laundry and dry and a dryer. Touch the button, right? On and off, right? And then you can also select the mode. But the problem was the mode was also in German, so I wasn't really sure which button that I should select, right? So that kind of information was actually not clear for people who don't speak the language. And the absence of staff that also led to the communication problems. So at that time, there was no, because there was no staff at the reception, right? And there was no telephone inside the room. So the only way to communicate with the staff was using the email. So I was thinking at that time, if the email actually didn't work, right? There was a problem with the connection, like what happened before, or maybe the internet breakdown, how could I contact the staff, right? So this was a problem with the technology. Another one, this is the last one, is the public transport in Madrid. So it actually at that time it was we used the metro system in Madrid. It was very easy navigation of the Metro Madrid system. Actually, it's very good, right? It's very clear. However, we found the difficulty and confusion in using the ticket machine. So this is a ticket machine, right? Navigation around the metro itself was actually pretty easy. But choosing the right ticket was a problem. So which ticket that I should buy, right? And then how to operate some of the information. So I had to ask help from the staff at that time to help me with producing the right ticket, because I didn't want to buy the wrong ticket to use the metro system. So again, probably lack of information and instruction and unclear direction that can actually lead to the confusion of the user. So in here, so you can see that me as the researcher has the role and experience that actually happening during the process in interacting with the technology. So this is based on the work from the Kelly et al. There are roles of the users, right, in using the self-service technology as the convenience seeker, motivated worker, judge, enforced worker, unskilled worker, and then the assistant provider. So in here, right, the confidence worker, I can show you, I'm not going to talk further about this one. I will show you the example in here. So this is my my role at that time as the researcher, right? So you can see my roles change, right? So not only one, but change into several roles. So the first role was when I stayed in hotel in Vienna, my role was actually as the confidence seeker, because at that time, oh, this is great, right? I want to use the self-service technology for the efficiency and the fast check-in into the hotel. So I wanted to have the feeling of independency, the feeling of accomplishment that I could check in into the hotel with without any reception, because I've never done that before. It was my first time. So I want to have the sense of accomplishment, a sense that, oh, this is a freedom. I can be like a bit of tech savvy, right? So this is confidence seeker. And then when going around the city of Innsbruck, and then visiting the theme park in Den Haag and using the metro in Madrid, I become the motivated worker. So in here, my role at the time, I wanted to use the technology, right? I want to take part into the effective service delivery. So I wanted to try, I want to learn how to use all the technology in going around the city using the mobile app for the bicycle, and then also the technology in the theme park, and also using the metro. So it was my motivation to learn how to use that, how to use the technology. And then after the experiences that I had, it all become the judge, right? So the judge in here, I started to compare and I started to make evaluation. Oh, this is good. This is not working. This is okay. This is actually working very well. So this is my role as a judge. And then in here, because I had like some of problems with the technology when I stayed in a hotel in Vienna. So my role changed again, become the enforced worker. So enforced worker in here, I have to use technology because I had to, right? And actually I felt stressed and annoyed because I couldn't really at that time couldn't contact the person, right? Because there was no telephone. And then I couldn't operate the washing machine and the dryer properly. So I had actually to do the several cycle and didn't work. So my clothes was still wet, even though I already pressed 3 buttons and 3 times trial using the dryer. So I get stressful at that time. So I've become like enforced worker and I became like an unskilled worker because I felt hopeless. I felt like useless. I felt like I couldn't even operate a dryer, a simple dryer, right? So I feel stressed and feel a bit embarrassed about it. So I feel like I was like unskillful in using the technology. The same thing with the using the Metro Madrid because I didn't know how to buy the right ticket, right? So I also become the unskilled worker. I feel like unskillful and I need help from other people. So this is the role and experience that I had when I'm using the technology in Europe based on the 4 cases. And then this is the case number 2. This is actually from the book that I edited with Prof. Philippers and called the Delivering Tourism Intelligence from Analysis to Action. Actually, Dr. Dina, the Dean of the Pelita Harapan University, is one of the authors for this book. So in here, I would like to share with you, this is another different perspective, right? So this is the tourism technology experience based on the 5 phases of the travel cycle. So there are 5 phases of the travel cycle: dreaming, researching, booking, experiencing, and sharing. So in here you can see the first one is a dreaming. So I will go next to my slide. So at that time, I was told about Innsbruck by my friend, right? So I was like, oh, that's great. So I had a dream to go to Innsbruck one day. And then I start to do the research, right? So I got information from the Innsbruck website, from the Innsbruck info, and I found it that the website was actually very good, right? Very great. The information was very comprehensive. And then during the booking, right, I found the ease of getting accessibility to the app and the website. But the slight hiccup was the registration and payment in German that made the booking difficult for the bicycle app. And this is the interaction with technology during the experience. So I got a very good experience with the interactive map at the Innsbruck Info. It was very good. Interactive education games at the Alpine Zoo. And then actually I learned about the history and attraction in Innsbruck to the recorded audio in the sightseeing bus. So when you went into the sightseeing bus, actually you can also listen to the history of Innsbruck during the tour. And I found it very, very good and very informative. And there was also the monitor in the bus showing the bus route, which is also very helpful for the tourists because we don't know where we are going, but the bus route information in the bus was actually very, very helpful. And there were a lot of free Wi-Fi's at the restaurants and the cafes and the square, the city center. So basically, this is the experiences that I had. And then after that, the sharing. And then when I try to tell the stories to other people, right? So in here, I told stories, share the stories through the academic work or the paper from the journal article and also the book chapter, and of course to the also the social media, for example, using the WhatsApp as well. So this is how the tourism technology experience can influence the 5 phases of the travel cycles. So now, what are the implications of the technology? So this is the notes for the tourism and hospitality operators. So technology actually provides advantages for the tourist experiences. no doubt about it, right? But it can also disturb the experiences if it's not designed and developed based on the user's perspective, right? So it's very important. I know that this is a combination of a high tech and a high touch, right? Because tourism and hospitality, of course, high touch is also very important, not only the high tech. So we use the technology, but technology also has to be embedded, has to be well tested and personalized, right? And it has to be user friendly for different types of tourists, right? Different types of generation, because maybe like the young generation nowadays, like the millennial or maybe the Gen Alpha, they are very used to technology, but not so for those people who maybe were born in the 1950s, like the baby boomers, right? Maybe we need time. Even for me in the Gen X, I still have to learn. I learn a lot even from my 8 years old daughter about the Xbox, about those kind of the terms in technology. And it has to be designed to have a communication system to anticipate problems. So not only developing the technology, but it also has the communication. So what happens if there is a problem? How can we actually deal with it? How can we respond to the problem? So it is necessary for the tourism and hospitality business and providers to actually provide the meaningful and personalized service and experiences in technology. Another one in here related to ethnography for the tourism and hospitality operators, because ethnography is not only for the researchers or the academic, but can also be applied for the industry practitioners. So especially for those in the marketing department, ethnography can be used to understand, observe, and interact with the customers online. And actually is a window to look into the customer's everyday life and how customers use the products and the services. Because of course, as the marketer or the service provider, it is very important to understand that the customer needs are the key for the successful service innovation and advertising. And then for the tourism scholars and researchers, there is a actually future study on ethnography, which is based not only the Web 2, right, but also in the Web 3, 4, and 5. So there's actually another prospect in here for my friends in the hospitality and tourism institution. So if you want to do the ethnography study, right, maybe not only focusing on the web of communication or Web 2, but can also focus on the web of context, which is Web 3, or the web of things, Web 4, and the web of thoughts, or Web 5. So Web 3 in here, you can use, like, for example, interactive brochure or the 3D museum guides or virtual hotel. Let's say you want to understand about the virtual reality experience of the tourist or the avatar behavior. And the Web 4, for example, using the phone's personal assistants, maybe tourist experience in using the phone personal assistants to understand about the geospatial tools or maybe location-based application. And the Web 5, maybe using the AI, right? This is an example. There is a virtual human museum guide in the Museum of Science in Boston. Maybe you want to understand about the emotional relationship between the tourist and then the robot or the machine by employing the virtual reality headset or the brainwave detectors. Of course, if you're not expert in the technology, you can always have the collaboration with other people who really understand about the technology. Another potential for the tourism and hospitality scholars and researchers is the use of the ethnography method for the service and the tourism research. So most of the ethnography is usually B2C, or the business to customers, right, consumers. But still limited study actually focusing on the B2B. So maybe you want to understand about the online communication between the professional communities, maybe, for example, or maybe how the communication, the intranet chat between the professional service managers, right? Maybe there's something that can be, another thing to explore. And then maybe to understand about the service experiences among the customers from different cultures and nationalities using the international context. And then probably about online customer decision making for example, how customers actually manage online information overload, right? So maybe there's something, like an idea that you can work with in doing the ethnography research. And then another potential in here is to understand about the online contradictions among the customers in reviewing a product or a service. So if you look at the trade advisors, for example, sometimes you find some customers actually have contradiction or kind of like a little bit of disagreement or argumentation about a product or a service. Maybe there's something that can be explored. And then you can also combine methods, not only limited to interview or survey, but you can also combine with the, for example, like narrative research or maybe grounded theory, focus group case studies. That's the one that I did with Prof. Philippines. We use the case studies, and then the action research. And then we also we can also use the non-text content. So not only just limited to the text in the blogs or the text in the Twitters or Facebook, but also can use video, images, and audio. And then so far, most of the ethnography research in tourism is mainly focusing on the cross-sectional study, which is only what happened during that time. But still limited study actually doing the longitudinal ethnographies. Longitudinal means doing the study in the quite a long period of time. So in here we can actually observe and understand the changes in the customers' processes. Yeah, so I think that's all about my talk. I think because I think it's already the time is already up for my talk. So I would like to thank you very much for your kind attention to my sharing. And now I would like to give the floor to Pak Jimmy. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the inspirational and thorough presentations, Dr. Hera. It is indeed the technology helps and enhances co-creation of the tourist experiences. If I may sum it up, the digitalization of tourism is very pivotal to our daily lives. It will enhance the efficiency, cost saving, as well as the conveniences. The co-creation of tourist experiences are real, showing by the video, images, and the photos. Virtual reality also bring to another step in past few experiences. It will make your moment alive again. But apart from that, technology has some disadvantages. There is still undesirable response when using the technology. In order to get the best technology, we have to do an ethnography research to explore the behavior and experience people when using the technology itself. Real-time difficulties when using the technology, when using the equipment, the devices, and etc. Especially when people are going through the 5 phases of the travel cycle, it again must be explored and well tested to get the customer's needs and want, which is to reach the moment of truth. So the nearest advanced technology that we are looking for right now is the artificial intelligence, and we have to do more research about it. Thank you very much. So give a big round of virtual applause to Dr. Hera Oktodiana, PhD, CHD. Now we are entering the questions and answer sessions, Dr. Hera. We have several questions from the audience and that needs some answers.
Mm-hmm.
If we see the questions, the first one came from Katarina Wira WM. She's from Universitas Nasional. The first question is, do you think Indonesia is capable of applying this virtual technology in tourism sector? When in reality, we know that there are still a lot of tourist destinations and attractions that are not ready for the improvement. Your thoughts about this, Dr. Hera?
Okay, thank you, Pak Jimmy. So for this question, right, I believe Indonesia actually, I believe that there are people who actually can develop the virtual technology, and I believe one of our speakers here actually can develop the virtual technology, right? So I don't have any doubt about the virtual technology application to Indonesia. I think we can do that, right? And of course, yeah, and I know that there are still a lot of tourist attractions that are not probably ready and need improvement. So I think in here, it is actually depending on the readiness of the government, right? The local government and the national, of course, in the national level, and also the tourism industry itself. So it's very important to have the very good collaboration between the industry and then the government, right? And of course, with the community around the tourist attraction, the destination. Because remember, when we do the technology, the virtual technology is not only about the technology itself. We also have to sustain the sustainability, right? To maintain the sustainability. So it's not only about the industry or the industry 4.0, for example, or about the technology as the object, but we have to really focus our attention on the subject, right, which is the tourist, and also to become like a smart tourism, which is we are paying attention to the sustainability and also the people, which is the tourist and the community itself. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Hera. So, Katarina, I hope that answers your questions. It depends on the collaboration between government, tourism industry itself, the tourism provider, as well as the community. While doing that, we have to maintain the sustainability, and everybody or every things have to play a part in order to achieve this. Thank you very much, Dr. Hera.
Thank
so
you.
the
Thank
next
you,
question came from Mr. Derek Lee. He is from Singapore Institute of Management. Thank you very much for your interesting presentation, Dr. Hera. How do we develop the digital culture and e-tourism to elderly or senior tourists who are more resistant to the new technology? The stage is yours, Dr. Hera.
Thank you, Pak Jimmy. Thank you for the question to Derek Lee. So again, as as I mentioned before, right, that developing the e-tourism or the digital culture, we have it has to be like personalized, right? So the most important, we have to pay attention to the tourist itself. So actually, there is a recent publication done by Ulrika. What's the name? Stankov and Gretzel, 2020. I think it's actually 2020. Recently published about the importance of the centered human design. So in here, we want to have the focus, right? The attention is on actually on the people, right? This is the application of the centered human design. So how we design the technology, right, that can actually meet the needs and also the competency or the capabilities of various people, because of course people with like older or elderly senior or senior tourists, they are not really probably used to the technology. So how can we actually make it user friendly? So user friendly not only for certain age group, but also user friendly for a various number of age group or diverse people. So again, right, so this is the importance of the human-centered design. So we always create something that actually focusing on the tourists or on the people. Okay.
Thank you very much for the lovely answer, Dr. Hera. So I hope that answer your questions, Mr. Derek Lee. As the recent research shows that more and more technology are centered on human design, its attention really meet to the people and to meet the needs and the competency of the people. So the technology has been studied to get more user-friendly for various number of diverse people. Thank you very much for the questions. The next question came from Sabda Eprianto. He is from Sekolah Tinggi Pariwisata Ambarukmu, Yogyakarta. The question is, in reality, tourism occurs when there is human traveling activities. When there's a virtual tourism that we can enjoy the attraction from home, do you think it is called as tourism? Or the definition of tourism and tourists have changed? Thank you very much. The stage is yours, Dr. Hera.
Okay, thank you, Pak Jimmy. I don't think the definition of tourist or tourism have changed, right? I think that the definition is still there, right? Still exists until now. I think the virtual tourism in here, right? Actually, it can be like an add-on before people actually experience something. So, for example, let's say you want to go to a certain destination, right? But before you go to a certain destination, maybe the virtual, the VR can help you or can help the tourist to grab the what kind of actually the situation like in the destination that I'm going to visit, right? So it can be like to bring an advantage or like kind of like an extra, right? To provide information for the tourists before they go to the certain destination. Or for example, for something that let's say when I had experience, right, with the tree kangaroo, with using the VR, even at that time when I also had the VR, actually looking at the Spain, Madrid, right, when I was in Hong Kong. So I felt like I was in Madrid itself, right? I was like, oh, okay, this is how Madrid like, right, using the VR. But of course, I wasn't in Madrid. But those experience actually bring kind of like memorable experience for me when actually I went to Madrid in real time, right, in 2018. So I used the VR at that time, 1 year before I went to Madrid personally, right, as a tourist. But actually it bring like some kind of an idea how the Madrid was like, right? So when I was there, I was like, oh, okay, I remember this from my VR. Right, so I think the virtual tourism can be actually an add-on to the real experience of the tourists before they go. Okay.
Thank you very much for the answer, Dr. Hera. I hope that answer your questions, Pak Sabda Eprianto. We still have some more questions. The next one. Do we have some more questions?
No more question, Pak Jimmy. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ma'am Ira. So, ladies and gentlemen, I believe that is the end of our question and answer sessions. Let's give a big round of virtual applause one more time to Dr. Hera Octodiana, PhD, CHE, for her presentations and all her answers.
Thank you, Pak Jimmy.
You're very welcome, Dr. Hera. Now, I would like to invite our Dean of Pelita Harapan School of Hospitality and Tourism, Dr. Diana M. Lemi, Fpar, MMCHE, to give an e-certificate for Ma'am Hera Octodiana, PhD CHE, as keynote speaker in today's webinar series. Dr. Diana, the time and place are yours.
Okay, thank you, Pak Jimmy. Well, Dr. Hera, on behalf of UPH School of Hospitality and Tourism, I'm presenting the certificate of appreciation. We are very enlightened and very inspired by your presentation. And your presentation surely give us knowledge about the digital tourism. And in this very tough times, your presentation is very meaningful to all of us. Thank you, Dr. Hera, for your time, and let's give Dr. Hera a very big round of applause.
Okay.
Virtually and well. Thank you, Pak Jimmy.
Thank you very much, our lovely Dean, Dr. Diana, for giving the an appreciation through e-certificate. Thank you very much for being here. It's an honor to have you in our webinar series, Dr. Hera, to share your area of expertise. Stay safe and safety.
Thank you,
Thank you
Pak
very much.
Jimmy. Thank you,
You're very
everybody.
welcome. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to introduce our second speaker. In this webinar series, the speaker will be presenting a simulation of his presentation. His name is Anugrah Agung Putranto, Fpar. He is the assistant lecturer of Pelita Harapan School of Hospitality and Tourism. He is a certified tour guide by the Indonesian Professional Certification Authority. He worked as a travel industry management student association as a president and had experiences leading the tour of Java Bali Overland and as a tour guide. So today he will be presenting the importance of where's the presentation? The importance of tour planning. Let's give him a big round of virtual applause. Anugrah Agung Putranto, the stage is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Jimmy, for the introduction and opportunity. I would also like to extend my welcome to Mr. Curtis J. Taylor as our Vice President of UPH for Student Development, Dr. Dina M. Lemmy as our Dean of School of Hospitality and Tourism, and Mrs. Hera Octadiana as our invited keynote speaker. And I would also like to extend it to the other speakers and all the participants. Allow me to introduce myself. My name is Agung, and today I will share with you about the importance of tour planning and how, in the current situation that we find ourselves in, has somewhat changed or adjusted tour planning. Next slide, please. Okay, why is tour planning beneficial? Well, there are benefits that one can gain by planning a tour in advance. The first one is that tour planning itself can become the guideline for the tour operator. And because it can be used as a guideline, it can then be used as a tool to predict unexpected things. As a tool, it can then be an easier means of achieving effective and efficient tourism results. And also, it can also be a measure of tourism success for future organizers. Next slide. There are four main aspects in tour planning. The first one is the market aspect. This looks at the current conditions where we must understand how the market itself is behaving, and reflecting this to the current situation, how is the market behaving? Are the same markets that used to thrive can still be relied upon? And are there new markets that can be delved into and be further incorporated into the tour planning? This is one aspect that I will further discuss in a minute. The second one, or the second aspect, is that are there enough resources to conduct a tour, whether it is online or offline in these conditions? Here, one must also ask themselves whether the resources they have can support a certain type of tour. And planning this aspect can help create a much more streamlined tour and ultimately a better experience for the customers. One must then also look into the product aspect as well, where are the programs itself relevant or beneficial? And especially in current conditions, price calculations are much more sensitive. And therefore, the products that are being planned must reflect that as well. Additionally, there are guidelines that are in place in presenting the product. So these are also the aspects that need to be considered in product aspect. Lastly is product aspect, where basically the aspects that have been previously discussed are then put into practice, because this is also the aspect where contingencies that need to be planned, if in case anything does happen outside the main plan, can then be put into motion. Next slide. In tour planning, there are 5 determinants of service quality. The first one is reliability. This is where the ability to carry out the promised service is in a reliable and accurate manner. And then there is responsiveness, where the willingness to help customers and provide services quickly. And then there's assurance, where the knowledge and courtesy of employees and their ability to generate trust and confidence towards the customers. And then there's empathy, that is the willingness to care and to give personal attention to your customers. And then tangible, where the physical appearance of equipment, employees, and communication materials are up to scratch. Next slide, please. When arranging a tour package, one might ask, what exactly is a tour package? Well, a tour package is defined as an excursion with one or more destinations from various travel facilities in a fixed travel event. It is also sold with a singular price that is inclusive of all the other tour components. Next slide. And in a tour, what are the main features that need to be incorporated? Well, firstly, there is obviously the journey itself. That this journey starts from the origin to the destination, and with a brief staying period, and then eventually returning back to the place of origin. Secondly, this journey is conducted in a relaxed, safe, and joyful manner without the purpose of seeking income or profit at the destination. That last point is quite important, because on a tour, the intention is not to go to work, but to have a holiday, to have fun. Thirdly, a tour is planned in such a way to give satisfaction towards the tourists or customers. And a tour is a journey that is part of several travel components that have been pre-planned. That also incorporates various components of tourist objects and attraction. And lastly, that the length of the tour is specified by a defined period or time. Next slide. So we've been discussing all these components that are essential to tourism planning, but what are they exactly? What are these components? These components include, one is transportation, and then there's accommodation, there's tourism site and attraction, food and beverage, tour leader or tour guide, and then equipment. So in each and every tour planning, we must include these 6 components that are essential to creating a successful tour. The next slide, please. Okay, tourism trends nowadays. As I have aforementioned, here I will discuss the tourism trends in today's conditions and situations, and that the things that are needed to be considered when planning a tour. Number 1 is destination. There will be a trend that is shifted towards natural tourism. That is due to the tendency that natural tourism provides the largest benefit for the smallest risk of health. In addition, vacations in nature can offer the ability to keep physical distancing from other tourists. Number 2 is distance from home. So even with a shift towards natural tourism, distance still does play a role. there is a likelihood where tourists will prioritize vacations that are relatively close to their residence and conducting something more commonly known as staycations, where tourists will most likely go to the beach or to the mountains, and at least maybe for people in Jakarta, to Puncak, maybe. And number three is shifting tourist interest. Tourists will also be moving away from a trend of mass tourism, where special interest tourism are going to be much more prevalent in this time. And in this point, there are three things that tourists will consider when visiting a tourist attraction or destination. Number one is that it must be clean, because incorrect health protocols will not attract visitors. And number two, that tourism will be conducted in much smaller groups due to the physical distancing mandate. That's because if you can't have a large group and do physical distancing at the same time. It just doesn't work out. So groups will be much smaller. And number three is that there is price sensitivity, because as adherence to safety protocols costs a lot of money, and it does come to the complaint of many parties. But in this case, we can take an example from the airline Garuda Indonesia, where the money spent on health protocols are much more expensive than the fare of the flight itself. And that is also in addition to the reduced capacity of the passengers where they can carry it at the same time. Number four is health consciousness. As I also mentioned previously, tourists will be much more conscious to this aspect, where health, cleanliness, and safety factors will become the top priority for tourists who wish to travel in the near future. Number five is higher usage of tour guides services. These, as the choice of destination and attraction shift from one trend to the other, especially in applicable tourist destinations, usage of the service will increase. Tour guides will be seen as part of the system of the health and safety protocols, and they will be seen as the individuals who fully understand the protocols for health and safety as well. So they will be relied upon by the customers and the tourists that will come to the destination. And finally, to the next slide. I would like to end this presentation with a change of mindset. This is a little nugget of wisdom that I quoted from the Ministry of Tourism and Creative Economy, or Kemenparekraf. That is, virtual is the new beauty, value is the base of new currency, local is the new global, and resilience is indeed the sustainability. And finally, to the final slide. With that, I hope that all of you are always staying in the protocol of clean, health, safe, and environment. I would like to thank you for your time and opportunity and attention. Allow me to hand back the webinar back over to Mr. Jimmy.
Thank you very much for the nice presentations, Pak Agung. It is true that if you have a great tour planning that concerns about your targeted market, your market conditions, facilities that you offer, the safety, and a good tour package presentations, whether it's online or on a piece of a flyer that meets the moment of truth, which is the journey that the tourists take consistently with what you offer on your tour package, then you will cover the highest service quality you can give to the tourists that meets their needs and wants. Thank you very much. Now I would like to introduce the audience, our third speaker of today's webinar series. In this webinar series, the speaker will be representing a simulation of a virtual tour using a variety of tools or platforms to give a better illustration to a tourist destinations. Stephanie Theodora Mulyono, SST Fpar. Her educational background, she graduated and received her diploma in travel industry management from Pelita Harapan School of Hospitality and Tourism in 2010, and she received her master's degree of tourism from Graduate School Trisakti Institute of Tourism in 2014. Her working experiences include assistant lecturer from 2010 until 2014, and she mainly teaches tour planning, tour guiding, ticketing, as well as MICE. From 2000 until now, she is the lecturer at Pelita Harapan School of Hospitality and Tourism, mainly teaches reservation, MICE, event management, sport, tourism and recreation, tour planning, and tour guiding. Her other experiences included advice, advisor of Pelita Harapan School of Hospitality and Tourism National Event in guiding competition as an advisor. Since last year, she is the freelance tour leader for Amazing Korea. Without further ado, let's give a round of applause for Miss Stephanie Theodora Mulyono SST Fpar. Miss Stephanie, the stage is yours.
Okay, thank you, Pak Jimmy, for the introduction. Good morning to the Honorable Mr. Curtis J. Taylor as our Vice President of UPH for Student Development, Dr. Dina M. Lemy as our Dean of the School of Hospitality and Tourism, Ibu Hera Oktadiana as our invited keynote speaker, and all participants. Good morning, everyone. My name is Stephanie. Let me share to you a little bit about the virtual tour that in Indonesia is very popular because of this pandemic situation. Next slide, please. Before pandemic situation, the tour operator create actual tour package. But in this pandemic situation, they cannot run any tour because of the limitation to travel according to the government rules. So what they can do? Just waiting for the pandemic is over? Of course, no. Many tour operators think what they can do to fulfill the yearn to travel during this situation. Looking at the current pandemic, people are using technology to do things from home, such as teaching and learning activities and various meetings. So how about tours? Maybe virtual tour can be a solution. There's some example of the virtual tour e-flyer that created by some tour operator. Next slide, please. What is virtual tour? Virtual tour is a simulation of a tour to tourist destination using a series of photographs, 360 images, and or video to better illustrate a location. The duration of virtual tour that conducted by the tour operator is about an hour until 2 hours, because any longer will be uncomfortable for the participant, as they must look at the computer screen for a long time. Virtual tour can be packaged as a full itinerary or otherwise. Full itinerary is defined as a tour with a starting point, a tour destination, and a finish point. However, a virtual tour can also have a single tour attraction as well. Next slide, please. Platform that common used to run virtual tour, like Instagram that provide free live streaming, Zoom application, like we use to this webinar, and also Google Maps that provide some 360 images. Next slide, please. This is an example of virtual tour that use Zoom application and Google Maps to run the tour. The host as a tour guide will display images of the tourist destination from Google Maps through the Zoom application while telling a story about the image. This way, the participant will have a clearer imagination of the location. At the end of the webinar session with the next speaker, we will also go on a quick virtual tour, so don't go anywhere just yet. Okay, next slide, please. This is an example of a virtual tour available from the website of the National Museum, Jakarta. The virtual tour does not have a tour guide, so visitors can navigate the 360 image independently at their own leisure. Next slide, please. Virtual tour uses image and video to illustrate a certain location. From the display of the image or video, some virtual tours use the services of a tour guide to give some direct commentary. Some only use text or narration. Next slide, please. When you're creating a virtual tour, there are some considerations. The first one is, of course, the good internet connection. because it is virtually depends on the internet connection. Second, tour duration that is not too long. Like I said before, the duration for virtual tour maximum is 2 hours to make the tour participant comfortable. Third, the clear travel flow to make the tour participant feel the tour sequence. Fourth, use good quality of video and picture to give good and clear image to the participant. Fifth, good storytelling skill by the tour guide. It is very important to build the atmosphere of the tour and participants can get clear information from the tour. 6. Supporting sound effect. For example, sound of announcement at the airport or train station, sound of nature, sea wave, wind breeze, and others to make participants feel the atmosphere of the tour. 7. Supporting virtual background to add the impression of being at the location. If possible, the guide may use attributes that are unique to the attraction, like wearing blangkon for the host who is a guide in Jogja virtual tour, or wearing batik Baduy for the host who is a guide in Baduy virtual tour. And the last, all that I have said, is to create a convincing imagination for the participant as if they were at the location. Next slide, please. The benefit of virtual tour are providing an alternative tourist activity during the pandemic, where tourists like to visit places they know before this pandemic. Virtual tour can also be used as a promotion for a destination intended to attract tourists after the pandemic. And virtual tour can be an alternative source of income for the tour guide and locals during this pandemic. Through a virtual tour, participants can order to the locals some souvenir of the destination that offered during the virtual tour. Then the local or guide will send it to the participant. Next slide, please. The advantages of virtual tour are time saving, because the time needed for a virtual tour is shorter than actual tour. Only an hour until 2 hours you can visiting some places virtually. Cost saving, the cost needed to join virtual tour is less than joining an actual tour. Virtual tour can be free of charge or fully paid. The price ranges from 20,000 until 100,000. Virtual tour available for everyone. There are no age or gender limitation in joining a virtual tour. Unlimited location. There are no limits to the selection of location for a virtual tour, as it can be viewed from anywhere that connect with the internet. Next slide, please. The disadvantage of virtual tour is unable to provide the participant actual experience. Because of the tour is virtually, it cannot replace the excitement and the adrenaline rush when conducting activities at the tourist destination. Next slide, please. This is the example of virtual tour on Instagram Live. The host will show you the location directly while the host guide. Okay, next slide, please. Now I would like to invite you on a quick virtual tour to this video. Please play the video.
Hello everyone! How are you all doing? I hope you are all safe and healthy. Today, we will be going on a virtual tour to Labuan Bajo. Right now, we are about to arrive at Terminal 3 of Soekarno-Hatta International Airport. We will be catching a flight real soon, so make sure you've gathered all your belongings and don't leave anything behind. So, here we are at Terminal 3. I think I can already hear the announcement to our flight. Let's check our flight plan. We are now right here in Jakarta, and our destination is Labuan Bajo over here. The flight will take around 2 hours, so let's make ourselves comfortable. Alrighty then, welcome to Komodo International Airport. This is the main airport at Labuan Bajo. Here we can see the new terminal that was recently inaugurated by President Joko Widodo on the 27th of December 2015. So, let's collect our baggage and start heading to the port. The trip to the port isn't that far. It will only take several minutes.
Once there, we will continue to our next destination, that is Fpar Island.
Before we hop on the boat, let's check the map. Currently, we are now here in Labuan Bajo.
Fpar Island is over here.
The boat ride will take around 3 hours. That will be plenty of time to enjoy the view and take lots of pictures. So here we are at Fpar Island. Let's learn more about it. Welcome to Komodo National Park. Today, we will be conducting a virtual tour at Fpar Island. Komodo National Park is composed of several beautiful islands, and one of its prima donna is a hilly island surrounded by the gorgeous blue sea named Fpar Island. This island is located in the West Manggarai Regency, Flores, East Nusa Tenggara Province, Indonesia. Fpar Island is the third largest island at Komodo National Park, following Komodo Island and Rinca Island. Even though there are no Komodo dragons on the island, due to the isolated food chain, you will be able to witness the turquoise waters of the vast open ocean. Along with the beautiful views of the underwater corals and beaches with white and pink sands, it is surrounded by the dramatic and towering hills. Activities that you can expect at Fpar Island include trekking on the hills, swimming, and snorkeling at the beach. Different seasons entice a differing view of Fpar Island. During the dry season, the panorama changes from a tawny yellow, and in the wet season, it turns to a luscious green. For its beauty, Fpar Island has been designated as a World Heritage Site by UNESCO in the year 1991. The island has also been featured on the Indonesian currency of 50,000 rupiah denomination in the year 2016. Hopefully, you have been enjoying the beauty and splendor of Fpar Island in today's virtual tour. As your virtual guide, I would like to say thank you, stay healthy, stay safe, and see you in the next virtual tour.
Okay, so that was an example of a virtual tour using Instagram Live and video. For now, we are still restricted from traveling, but do not let that stop us from witnessing the beauty of tourist destination, as we can still watch it from a virtual tour. To end my presentation, I will read some of my favorite quotes. I'd rather travel than stay in one place because the world is a book and those who not travel only read a page. So let's see, the world is more fantastic than any dream. Thank you, and I give it back to moderator Pak Jimmy.
Thank you very much, Miss Stephanie Theodora Mulyono SST MPA, for your unattractive presentations about virtual tour. Now, ladies and gentlemen, last but not least, I would like to introduce our next guest speaker, Muhammad Yogi Fajri, SE. Mr. Muhammad Yogi Fajri graduated from Universitas Diponegoro in 2009. He has been involved in many organizations, to name the few. From 2009 until 11, he is the manager of public relations of ISX Undip. In 2012, he was the organizing committee of Global Youth Forum. 2013, as the director of communication in Future Leaders Summit. In 2014, a producer of 12 Year Fun Semarang movie project. And in 2016, he was the researcher of exhibition of life works of Thomas Karsten. 2016 and 2017, he was part of Badan Pengelola Kawasan Kota Lama Semarang. And from 2015 until now, he is the unofficial coordinator of HAN, Hogeschool van Arnhem en Nijmegen exchange student in Semarang. And from 2017 until now, guide and head of operational of Bersukaria Tour. Today, he will share with the audience the example of virtual tour that he created and commonly sell to people. Please give a big round of virtual applause to Mr. Muhammad Yogi Fajri SE.
Okay, thanks for the opportunity, Pak Jimmy. So good morning, everyone.
You're very welcome.
Good morning, Honorable Vice President 3 of Universitas Pelita Harapan, Pak Kurtis, and Honorable Dean of Faculty of Tourism, Ma'am Dina, and also the invited keynote speaker, Ms. Hera, and the speaker from UPH, Pak Agung and Ms. Stephanie. Last but not least, the distinguished delegates. So, ladies and gentlemen, it was a great pleasure indeed for me to speak in this occasion. So here I want to explain about, recount about the current situation that I and my fellow tour operator face during this pandemic. So that's why the title is Bersukaria Tour Organizer in Survival Mode, something like that. So, okay, please. So before, maybe it's like an Indonesian phrase, tak kenal maka tak sayang. So I'd like to explain about what is Bersukaria Tour and why it's taken. So it's as maybe you can hear a little bit about the music behind me. So this like we got the name of Bersukaria. So Bersukaria is actually derives from Indonesian word, which means have fun, but it's also the song that arranged by Mr. Sukarno, our founding fathers of Indonesia. And Bersukaria Tour is mainly focused on the heritage, which is intangible or intangible, something like that. And we are based in Semarang, and we are specialized in Central Java and surround destination. Next. So this is our products. We are the first tour operator who has the walking tour package in Semarang, and also our main product is also short excursion, private tour, and company gathering. Maybe it's just the same as the other tour operator, but the walking tour and short excursion, that is maybe can differentiate with other tour operators, something like that. So next. As I mentioned before, so about the condition during the COVID-19 hit Indonesia. So in the March and April, as I mentioned before, that we are specialized in short excursion, which means that we are handle the cruise ships passenger. And in the March and April, it's the peak season of the cruise ships who visit Indonesia, specifically Central Java, Borobudur, and Semarang. And next. And it's scheduled actually around 21 cruise ships will anchor in our port of Tanjung Mas, but then in March, in the beginning of March is cancelled. It's not postponed, but it's cancelled. All of the 21 ships were cancelled after the case of MV Columbus. One of the passenger become positive for the COVID. So then it released by the government, close everything, every activity related to the tourism, from the destination and also tourism activity. So this is really major hits for us, the tour operator. Next. So we are also canceled all of our program for walking tour and the private tour. So everything is canceled. We did a lot of refund, something like that, and after that, we are thinking about, as the government say that in April it will be finished after the 2 weeks of lockdown, but it's not going that way. So next. Then we are decide to held the virtual walking tour, which is with the tech of traveling without moving. And we start on the 4th of April 2020. And and we are not so optimistic about this kind of product in the beginning, but then it attract more than 30 people to join our tour. So then it gives us hope, the tour operator, to still active in the middle of the pandemic, something like that. And next. So as the walking tour, that mainly is only for the Semarang destination. So we also decide to make our product, which is virtual open trip, in the forms of virtual also. And it's gained a lot of participants also. So, and as our records that up to today, we successfully held 43 times of virtual walking tour and 14 virtual open trip with the total participant of 867 participants. So it's really a blessing for us during in this pandemic that we could still earn something that our fellow tour operator, which is their business barely survive, something like that. So next. So yeah, it's also it's kind of a blessing in disguise also for us, the Bersukaria tour, because we are specialized in the heritage, tour, something like that. So now with the virtual tour, we could give a message to our clients or our possible clients, something like that, or that we are specialized in the heritage theme tours. So we are doing a lot of theme related to the heritage, natural heritage or historical heritage. So now I'm going to give you a trial time. So I will take you into one of the remarkable destination in Semarang. It's also our landmark. Name is Lawang Sewu, or it's in the old days is the headquarters of this Netherlands Indische Spoorwegmaatschappij, the wealthiest private railway company in the East India or currently Indonesia. So my title is Lawang Sewu Indonesian Railways Golden Age Monument, because of lots of peoples recognize these buildings not about their heritage sites, but more into the the story of the ghosts and other intangible creatures because it's been neglected for decades, something like that, before it's renovated. So now I'm not going to discuss about that things. I'm focusing on the heritage sites. Okay, next. So this is Lawang Sewu. It's from above. So the buildings that we see now is the building A. So it's a huge complex. Occupied area roughly 2 hectares. And the building is really, really strong because of its barely any major renovation after it's built in 1904, finished in 1907, and it's been neglected for decades and just renovated in 2015. It's a popular as a tourist destination, but also for another purpose, for exhibition, for seminars, gatherings, and so on. And there is also the interesting colossal mango trees that's located in the center plaza of Lawang Sewu. Okay, next. Okay, so this is so I want to give you a recount about how it's built because it's also interesting. So this is the buildings of the Lawang Sewu right after it's inaugurated in 1907. So it's designed by 2 Dutch architects, Jacob Klinkhamer and Bert Johan Undah. They are from Amsterdam. And next. So during this process, since Klinkhamer and Undah is never been to Semarang, there is a residence architect who become the observer, found out that the soil in Semarang is not so strong enough to be built into that massive building. So, and back in the days, there is no concrete technology. So what he did is really stunning because of he makes sure the company to expand more to dig the soil 4 meters and then fill it with the volcanic sands from Merapi. So that's why the structure is so strong enough because it's like the building is floating in the soil of Semarang that was before it's like a clay structure because it's back in the days Semarang consists of the swampy land, something like that. Okay, next. And because it's short virtual tour, so I want to take you solving some of the symbols in one of the main attraction in Lawang Sewu, which is its stained glass that's beautifully designed by Jan Schouten from Delft, which he is really master in the stained glass art. As you can see in the advertising, that he wins lots of medals for designing stained glass in Paris, in Arnhem, in Milan, and so on. So now, let me take you into the journey into Semarang virtually. So this is the location of the Lawang Sewu, right in the heart of, in the downtown of Semarang. So it's not so far from Tugu Muda, the icon of Semarang also. And then now we're going to see inside. So this is from the plaza of the Lawang Sewu. This is the stained glass reflecting the light from the inside. So in the night, it's really beautiful to see the stained glass from the outside. So this is the Lawang Sewu in the night. Don't worry, if you have like the opportunity to visit this, it's really far from the like ghost story or so on, because it's even now in the night, it's open until 9 p.m. It's beautiful, and it's and it's not spooky, something like that. Okay, so now let me take you into inside the Lawang Sewu. So yeah, so this is the location of the stained glass art, which is located in the main hall. And now we're going to take a closer look. Yeah, so this is the, it's actually really beautiful, but it's really hard to take a photographs during the days because it's the reflection of the light. But if you are in the location, you will see this piece of art that dates back from 1907, and it's still there, and it's full of symbolism. Okay, now I'm going to tell you about some of the symbols that hidden in the stained glass. Maybe a lot of people say that the symbols is, yeah, because a lot of people were really into like the conspiracy theory and blah blah blah, so they are associate a lot of symbols here into Freemasonry or blah blah blah, but actually it's not. It's full of the philosophy, something like that. It's like, next, for example, this one, in the left pictures is there is two goddess, goddess of fire and goddess of water, and this from the Roman mythology. Why they put these two goddess symbols? It's because of back then the Netherlands Indische Spoorwegmaatschappij, it's the steam train operator. So this is the essential things for the steam machine, for its power, something like that. So they put these two symbols, the goddess of fire and the goddess of water. And in the middle, that is the wheel of Hermes, the goddess of travel in the Greek mythology, and also the symbol of the Netherlands Indische Spoorwegmaatschappij. So this is the symbol of the company, and the rooster in the top is symbolizing the Christianity culture in the Europe, something like that. And turn into the left side, into the right side, I'm sorry. Yeah, so this is the symbols of, in the top is the symbol of the Kingdom of the Netherlands, and the left side is the symbols of Batavia, and the right side is the symbol of Semarang in the colonial period. These two cities is actually where the Netherlands Indische Spoorwegmaatschappij, this company, is start to have their business in Indonesia. Okay, next. So, okay, that's all of our virtual tour today. So yeah, I hope you all have a good day. So now I'm giving it back to Mr. Jimmy as moderator. Thank you very much. Salam dari Semarang.
Thank you very much for your inspirational and attractive presentations, Mr. Muhammad Yogi Fajri SE. As a gentle reminder, please do not forget to fill out our form in order to get our e-certificate. Now we are going to start the questions and answer sessions. To all the speakers, we have several questions that need some answers. The first questions came from Michelle Aprilia. She is from Universitas Pelita Harapan. The question is directed to Pak Anugrah Agung Putranto. The question is, what are the differences of tour planning before and after the pandemic? Please share your thoughts, Pak Anugrah Agung Putranto.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Jimmy, and thank you for the question, Michelle. If we solely look at the components of a tour, there would not be much different between before and after the pandemic. That is, the things that we need to include in planning a tour is still pretty much the same. However, there will be major changes in the number of capacities. That is, for example, as tour planners, following the clean health and safety protocols is of the utmost importance. And for example, if we look at the components of transportation and accommodation, the tour planner can only utilize about 50% of that component, meaning that the buses can only be half full, or the cars that we use for the transportation can only be half full, and the rooms or for accommodations must only be of certain types. Therefore, this in order to maintain physical distancing. So therefore, this will obviously directly impact the prices of tours after the pandemic, because let's say we have 100 people that usually fit into 2 buses. Now we can only, then we have to double that into 4 buses. So the prices will be, what will be the most difference between before and after the pandemic will mostly be affected towards the price of the tours themselves. I think that would be the answer I can offer to the question. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the answers, Bapak Anugrah Agung Putranto. I hope it answered your question, Michelle Aprilia. It is still the same, but you need to put some considerations in safety and health protocols, as well as the number of capacity during the after pandemic. Thank you very much, Pak Agung. So the next questions is from Josias Stephen. He's from Universitas Binus. The question is directed to Miss Stephanie Theodora Mulyono. Miss Stephanie, do you think the virtual tours will be able to be held after the pandemic? Will there be any demand? Your thoughts about this?
Okay. Thank you for the question, Joshua Stefan from Universitas Binus. Okay, that's an interesting question. I will try to answer. In my opinion, a virtual tour can continue after the pandemic, although enthusiasm may not be as much as the pandemic. A virtual tour can be held to accommodate tourists who want to visit a destination, but are constrained by limited cost, time, or physical. For example, tourists who are not physically strong but want to see the beauty of Mount Rinjani, they can join a Rinjani virtual tour maybe. A virtual tour can still be held by tour operator as one of the media for promotion of the tour package to potential tourists. Okay, maybe that's what I can say. Pak Jimmy, thank you.
Thank you very much for the answer, Ms. Stephanie Theodora Mulyono. So, even with the constraint of time, cost, and physical presence, the virtual tour can still be run because it's one of the advantages of the new tour package nowadays. Thank you very much. I hope that answers your question, Mr. Josiah Stephen. The next question is from Darian Christian. He is from Travel Industry Management of Pelita Harapan University. It's directed to Pak Muhammad Yogi Fajri. The question is how to ensure the level of participant satisfaction when taking a virtual tour can be the same experience when people did it on a normal tour.
Okay. Thank you very
Please,
much
your
for the.
answer, Pak. You're very welcome.
Okay. So thanks for the Darian Christian for the question. So how to ensure the level of the participant satisfaction? So we are every virtual tour that we have, we always have the feedback for the participants. So we have so we can measure about the topics. Is it interesting enough or not? And also since it is the virtual tour, so we always have the new theme every month. So and we are making sure that the about the destination, since it's only virtual, so we are make it the storytelling is stronger, something like that. It's like the with lots of visualization, and also how we attract with the participant itself. It's like we are from the personal tour guide, from the tour guide. Now we are a little bit learn about how to be a good announcer also, something like that. That's all, Pak Jimmy.
Thank you very much for the clear answer, Pak Muhammad Yogi Fajri. I hope that clarification answers your questions, Darren Christian. We have some more questions. The next question came from Gabriela Kathleen. She's from Universitas Pelita Harapan. The question is for Pak Anugrah Agung Putranto. The question is, what are the tips and tricks for the tour planner in facing the new normal of tourism industry, knowing that some tourist attractions are already open? The floor is yours, Pak Agung.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Jimmy, and thank you for the great question, Gabriela. This will be a time when tour planning is even more crucial, I suppose, because, however, with the help of technology, one will be able to survey ahead to the tourist destinations or attractions to make sure whether the location is already open for business or not. Or even maybe they can also be used to even check whether if they are following the predetermined protocols. The trick is that technology in this digital age also enables us to book in advance, where activities of our own activities outside of our own residence can be further minimized. And basically, one might use technology to further enhance the planning process even further, and thus, as tour planners, one will be able to create a tour that is much more streamlined and efficient, and thus enhancing the experience for the customers. So I would say that furthering the use of technology to our advantage and use it as a strategic tool in tour planning, so tour planners can provide the best experience for the customers while always following the clean health and safety protocols. I think that would be my answer for the question. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Pak Anugrah Agung Putranto. Indeed, technology is one of the ways, a tool of making a tour planner in the new normal situations. I hope that answered the question from Gabriela Kathleen. The next questions came from Cindy. She's from Universitas Pelita Harapan. The question is for Miss Stephanie Theodora Mulyono. The question is, when we want to join or make a virtual tour, do we need to have a special equipment? For example, computer with certain specifications, or maybe just a smartphone? Your answer on this, Miss Stephanie?
Okay, thank you, Cindy, for the question. To join virtual tour, you can use any smartphone or laptop as long as connect to the internet. But if you want to create a virtual tour, I suggest you to use your laptop to make it easier to operate the virtual tour platform, especially if you use Zoom application and Google Maps. Okay, thank you, Pak Jimmy.
Thank you very much for the answer, Ms. Stephanie Theodora Mulyono. Now we do have one more questions. The question is for Pak Muhammad Yogi Fajri. The question came from Peter from Universitas Trisakti. The question is, how many participants that we need for the virtual tour so it's able to fit with the expenses or funding that we spend on the operational expenses? Your answer to this, Pak Muhammad Yogi Fajri, the stage is yours.
Okay, thank you, Pak Jimmy, and thanks for the question also, Peter from Universitas Trisakti. So it depends actually about how many participants that we need for the virtual tour, because of it depends on about the price that you offers for the participant, of course, and also you have to measure about the price that you are the expense of the tour itself is like the quota or about the electricity, and also how long did it take for you to make the something that you are going to show, which is videos or pictures and so on. So after that, maybe plus the margin, and then you are dividing into how many participants that you want to attract. Like for examples, like in Bersukaria Tour, we are consistently for the virtual open trip in the price of 35,000 rupiah. So it needs at least 10 participants to gain in the what is it in the like in the if we want to meet with our expense that in the standard of in our company, something like that. So it depends on your expense and about the price that you want to offer for the participant itself. That's all. Hope it's answer your questions.
Thank you very much, Pak Muhammad Yogi Fajri. So, as you said that to make a break even for your package tour, you need at least 10 participants to join the virtual tour. So I hope that answer your questions. I believe that is the end of our question and answer sessions. Once again, I would like to ask everybody to give a big round of applause to our speaker. Now, I would like to invite our Dean of School of Hospitality and Tourism, Dr. Diana M. Lemi, Fpar MMCHE, to give a token of appreciations in e-certificate to our speakers today. Dr. Diana, the stage is yours.
Okay, thank you, Pak Jimmy, our wonderful moderator this morning, for leading the session. And of course, thank you very much and a very high appreciation to all of our speakers that already share their knowledge and experience in this morning sessions. So, having said that, again, we would like to present the certificate of appreciation to all of the speaker. First to Mr. Anugrah Agung Putranto STR Par, and he will add soon with Mpar ya, Pak Agung. So
Very soon
thank you
enough.
very much, for your
Thank
sharing.
you very much, ma'am.
It's very insightful, and it's very useful for the situation right now where travel industry has to move and more dynamic, to recover, in the new normal era. Okay, let's give him a big round of applause. Okay. And the next certificate will be presented to our lovely speaker, Miss Stephanie Theodora Mulyono SST Mpar. Miss Stephanie, You've been a very great speaker this morning, and your shared video is very inspiring. Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, for sharing with us this morning. So let's give Miss Stephanie a big round up applause. Okay, our a very honored guest speaker, Mr. Muhammad Yogi Fajri SA. Yeah, thank you very much for sharing this morning. And of course, through the name of your tour and travel, Bersukaria, you always remember to you always remind us, yeah, to always be happy, because that is the basic character of travel and tourism industry. We have to have fun, always cheerful, bersukaria. Thank you so much, Pak Yogi, and a great virtual tour as well. Let's give him a very big applause.
Thank you.
On behalf of School of Hospitality and Tourism, Universitas Pelita Harapan, we would like to thank you to all speakers, Dr. Hera for her great presentation this morning, and to all speakers, Mr. Agung, Ms. Stephanie, and Mr. Yogi. And thank you to all participants that already being very active. Good morning again, and I give the time to Pak Jimmy as the moderator.
Thank you very much, our lovely Dean of School of Hospitality and Tourism, Dr. Diana M. Lemi, for giving some token of appreciations to all of the speakers. Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes our fourth webinar series, Digital Culture and E-Tourism, Making an Attractive and Engaging Virtual Tour. I hope this webinar gave you a meaningful insight and taught us many things about digital culture and e-tourism. Do not forget to follow our social media and stay tuned to our next webinar series, the fifth series with the title of Professional Ethics and Social Responsibilities for Hospitality and Tourism Industry, Preparing Human Resources in the New Normal Era, that will be held on Monday, August 3rd, 2020, which starts on 9/20. Our keynote speaker on the fifth webinar series will be Mr. Igede Ardike. He's a member of World Committee on Tourism Ethics, UNWTO. Thank you very much for your attention and your participation on today's webinar series. Have a great day, ladies and gentlemen. Stay safe and healthy. Now I'm giving the stage back to our wonderful Master of Ceremonies, Emily and Fabiola. Ladies, the stage is yours.
Thank you, Mr. What a wonderful and informative webinar. Thank you, Bapak Curtis, Miss Hera, Mr. Yogi, Mr. Anugrah, and Miss Stephanie. Let us give our speakers a big virtual round of applause.
Terima kasih sebelumnya kami ucapkan kepada seluruh pembicara. Terima kasih kepada Bapak Curtis, Miss Hera, Bapak Yogi, Bapak Anugrah, dan Miss Stephanie. Sekali lagi, mari kita beri tepuk tangan yang meriah untuk para pembicara kita.
We would like to remind everyone to fill a feedback form in order to get an e-certificate. Our committee already posted the feedback and all materials link in the webinar chat.
Kami menghimbau para peserta untuk mengisi form feedback agar mendapatkan e-certificate. Panitia kami telah mempost link untuk feedback dan semua materi dari sesi seminar ini di chat webinar.
And also, don't miss out our fifth webinar series with the title of Professional Ethics and Social Responsibilities for Hospitality and Tourism Industry, Preparing Human Resources in the New Normal Era, which will be held on Monday, August 3rd, 2020.
Jangan sampai ketinggalan di webinar kelima kami yang berjudul Professional Ethics and Social Responsibilities for Hospitality and Tourism Industry, Preparing Human Resource in the New Normal Era, yang akan dilaksanakan pada hari Senin, tanggal 3 Agustus 2020.
Right now, we're going to start our photo session. We would like to invite all the participants to turn on the camera.
Sekarang kita akan melakukan sesi foto. Kami mengundang seluruh peserta untuk dapat menyalakan kameranya.
Good afternoon, everybody. Today we have 19 pages. Please, for all participants to open the camera so we could take our photo session. I will wait for a while. I will start at page number 1. 1, 2, 3. Page number 2. 1, 2, 3. Page number 3. 1, 2, 3. Page number 4. 1, 2, 3. Page number 5. 1, 2, 3. Page number 6. 1, 2, 3. Page number 7. 1, 2, 3. Page 8. 1, 2, 3. Page 9. 1, 2, 3. Page 10. 1, 2, 3. Page 11. 1, 2, 3. 12. 1, 2, 3. 13. 1, 2, 3. 14. 1, 2, 3. 15. 1, 2, 3. 16. 1, 2, 3. 17. 1, 2, 3. 18. 1, 2, 3. And last, 19. 1, 2, 3. Thank you, everybody. I will return it back to the MC.
Thank you, Timothy. Before we end this webinar, let us gather in the prayer. I will lead the prayer in Christian, the rest may follow.
Sebelum kita mengakhiri webinar pada hari ini, mari kita bersatu di dalam doa. Doa akan dipimpin secara Kristiani, yang lain harap menyesuaikan.
Let us pray. Heavenly Father, thank you for this opportunity to gather here in this fourth webinar series. Thank you, Lord, for the knowledge and experience that was shared by the speakers. Lord, now we're going to end this webinar series and continue with our daily activities. Lord, please bless us so we can do our activities well, and please bless all the knowledge so we can use it to help build this nation. Thank you, Lord. In the name of Jesus Christ, we have already prayed. Amen. We would like to remind everyone to fill a feedback form in order to get an e-certificate. Our committee has already posted the feedback and all materials link to the webinar chat. Your e-certificate and presentation material will be sent to your email address soon. Kindly check your spam or junk folder if you could not find the email in your inbox.
Kami menghimbau para peserta untuk mengisi form feedback agar mendapatkan e-certificate. Panitia kami telah mempost link untuk feedback dan materi dari sesi seminar ini di chat webinar. Sertifikat elektronik dan materi presentasi dalam webinar ini akan dikirimkan segera ke alamat email Anda. Silakan cek folder spam atau junk terlebih dahulu jika tidak ada di dalam folder inbox.
We have come to the end of our webinar series for today. We would like to send our gratitude to all the speakers, lecturers, committees, and all participants who have made this fourth webinar series memorable for all of us.
Kami mengucapkan banyak terima kasih kepada para pembicara, Bapak Ibu dosen, seluruh panitia, dan juga para peserta yang telah berpartisipasi dan membuat webinar series keempat ini berkesan untuk kita semua.
Thank you and see you on the next webinar series.
Terima kasih dan sampai jumpa di webinar.